What's up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness coming to you once again. So if you have not seen any news on the Giants Live World Open deadlift competition going on, it happened today. It was slightly how I thought it was going to go, but there were a couple things that I think went a little bit differently. So there were definitely a couple things that I did not expect during the competition, and some things that I figured were going to happen pretty much exactly how they were. So I'm going to share the Strongman Archives window. So if you're not familiar with Strongman Archives, this is a fantastic source. I didn't want to share any of the actual footage or anything like that. You're supposed to pay to watch it. So Strongman Archives with Eloy, he's a great guy. If you have not checked out Strongman Archives, definitely head over there, give it a like, check it out. So here we go. All right, so these are the total results. However, that being said, just looking at the results and how they happened doesn't tell the entire story. So as you can see, everybody was able to get the 400 and everybody was able to get the 425 deadlift. There's been a little bit of some talk about maybe the judges gifted Gav Bilton a little bit of an easy lockout on it. Be that as it may, he was still able to get 425 kilograms. The one that surprised me in this group right here was Rhino Heinle. Apparently he's fighting a little bit of an injury at the moment and did not feel comfortable continuing further. That being said, 425 in any normal gym around the world is a fantastic result. 425 is absolutely amazing. On the world stage, I know that Rhino is capable of doing significantly more. So I was a little bit disappointed that that's all he was able to get. But you know, day of the competition, especially when you're competing at the world level against other world level athletes, it can belie you a little bit. So I really hope that he recovers from his injury. I think he has a fantastic chance to come back. I think that he's one of the ones that honestly should have been in the 475 kilogram group. But be that as it may, I still think fantastic job to Rhino. Mikhail Shavlyakov, he did pretty much how I thought he was going to do. He's done a little bit heavier than 425, but considering that the jump went from 425 to 453.5 kilograms, they couldn't pick the next weight that they wanted to do or anything. That's a big jump for him, and I don't think he's ever pulled that in competition. So still, he's tied for eighth place. And Andy Black has done a little bit more in the gym, which I showed in my previous video, in my predictions video. So if you want to go back and watch that video, just continue on to my channel. And I think it's the previous one that I did, basically, or the one before that. Andy Black is one of those ones. He's up and coming. He's newer onto the scene, hasn't done a lot of bigger competitions or anything yet. He's done UK's strongest and I think Britain's strongest. And I think that's about it so far. But great guy. Still, the fact that he was able to get into this competition, I think that's awesome. I think he's going to turn into a fantastic athlete in the near future. So, yeah, out of this group, the only surprise that I really had was Rhino. I expected him to place a little bit higher. In the second grouping right here, which all the way from Nedzim, I think that's how you say his name, and then Adam Bishop, Pavlo, Alexey, Gabe Pena, Evan Singleton. Evan kind of surprised me. I thought he had potentially a chance at getting the 453.5. We were told previously that it was going to be 455. I guess once they actually loaded the plates and everything, it was 453.5. But I wasn't going to give him too much credit if he was going to get it. I didn't think that it was fully within his grasp, but kudos to him for getting it. Gabe Pena, like I said before, on a trap bar and stuff, Gabe is an absolute monster. Conventional deadlift, he still needs a little bit of work. Now, Gabe, again, is newer on the scene as well. And I think Give Gabe a couple years and he will definitely be a top competitor for the world record with the deadlift. The guy is making leaps and bounds in progress, and he's an absolute monster as far as I'm concerned with that. Alexey Novikov. So Alexey Novikov, this was a PR for him. He's never pulled this before, and he was able to get it. I've heard a lot of people saying that the judge should not have given him the lockout. It was a bit of a soft lockout. And a lot of people have been arguing that Alexey is better at the moving events. He's not as statically strong. Now, granted, be that as it may, what you think, he does hold the world record or is second best in the world with the 18-inch deadlift. He's strong. Okay, he's a very strong individual. Alexey is one of those ones that when he goes to compete, he goes to compete all the way. He trains incredibly hard. He trains super high volume, and it pays off because during the competition, he trains at such a high volume that his body, his CNS, and everything is ready for that type of continual stress that a competition would bring, and he performs very well in most competitions. At Worlds, it was a little bit questionable. He could have had some other stuff going on. The other factor with Alexey is that apparently he has a quad tear going on or some sort of quad injury. I'm not 100% sure of all the specifics of the injury. I know that he has some issues with his quad at the moment. And the fact that he was able to do a 453.5 kilogram deadlift, even with an injured quad, is amazing. I think that it just shows to his mindset. When he goes to compete, and he gives it his all. Now, one of the ones in this group that could potentially lead you astray is Pavlo. So Pavlo has pulled, I think it was like a 482 or something like that in the gym. He is an absolute monster with deadlift. He was one of the top competitors I was assuming was going to break the world record. He did the 453.5. It looked like butter. It was a warm-up rep for him. He did it way too easily, and he decided to sit out the 475. He opted out of doing that one in favor of, I guess, saving his energy for the 505. And I'm sure he's kicking himself because in hindsight, if he would have just done the 475, he'd be tied for first. He would have had way more points. And so in this group, it makes it look like he struggled a lot more. A lot of the other guys had a lot of difficulty doing the lockout. I'm not completely sure all of his reasoning. I think he was trying to save his energy. Now, all that being said, Pavlo is brand new on the strongman scene. If you've been following powerlifting for a while, he's been around. Everyone's familiar with him on that. As far as strongman goes, well, here, let's go to his profile. As far as strongman goes, he's done one competition. That's it. He did the Giants Live World Open, and he did fairly well. I was expecting him to do a little bit better with some of them, with the way he's been training the Viking press and stuff like that. Yeah, I expected him to do a little bit better, but be that as it may, I feel really bad for the guy that he opted out of doing the 475, and then when it came time to do the 505, he barely budged it, to be honest. It wasn't his best performance. Does that mean that he's done? No. He's young, and he has his entire life ahead of him. Has a massive frame. His body is able to handle this type of weight with training and all that sort of stuff. I'd say give him another year or two, and it's probably his. Adam Bishop, that's about where I was expecting him to finish. Adam's a great deadlifter. He's not one of the best he is one of the best in the world because he made it onto this stage. In this group, he's not one of the best in this group of all strongmen, basically. But yeah, kudos to him. 453 is still a fantastic deadlift. And then Nedzin, honestly, that's a little bit better than I was expecting him to do. I haven't seen him do very much, and so that was a fantastic performance by him. So the two that I was assuming had a shot at the 505 were Ivan Makarov and Pavlo. I'm not even going to try and say his last name, but Ivan did just great. 475 went up fine. He struggled with the 505, and it wasn't in the cards. So just looking at this list, it looks a certain way, and then if you actually watch it, you'll realize that there was a lot more going on than what we understand with that. So that being as it may, we can go back to the rest of the competition. Let me see here. Let's go back to home. So again, if you're not familiar with Strongman Archives, check it out. They have all the latest contest results, upcoming contests. If you're interested in what's going on, what's going to happen, Shaw Classic, SEO World Breakers, Ukraine Strongest Man, a lot of these, I or My Block Strongest Man, who's my co-host with the weekly live stream, we're going to be hosting or covering them. So with the Shaw Classic, we're both going to be working on our predictions and putting out some videos on that, and it's looking to be an insane contest. So Giants Live World Open. Some of these were very disappointing, to say the least. I didn't expect Ivan Makarov to do well in most of it, except for the deadlift, essentially, which is kind of how it worked out. Yeah, we'll just leave that as that. Mikkel, I was expecting him to do a little bit better in some of this stuff, but you know, he's one of the oldest ones there, and like I said in my previous video, Mikkel's kind of hit and miss. Some contests he comes and he's never won worlds or anything like that, but some of them he does phenomenally well, and then other ones he kind of coasts. Rhino Heinle, like I said, he was battling some injuries that were going on, so he still performed fairly well overall, even though max deadlift he lost a bunch of points. Carry and drag, again, lost a lot of points. And then Viking rep and Viking press and front hold, he actually made some back. And then stones, he's a decent enough stone lifter. He's probably one of the best in Estonia at the time, but yeah, like I said, I felt kind of bad for Rhino because it sounds like he had some stuff going on and was battling through it. That Mr. Black there, Andy Black, pretty decent contest overall. That's about where I was expecting him to finish. Gav Bilton actually did a little bit better than I was expecting. Viking press, he did fairly well. Yeah, some of them, yeah, I wasn't quite expecting him to do quite as well as that. Gabe, like I said, Gabe's new to this. I think give Gabe a couple years, and he and Pavlo are going to be phenomenal strongmen. They're both very dedicated, fantastic strongmen. And then Pavlo, if Pavlo would have done the next deadlift, he would have finished on the podium, basically. I mean, close enough, because it would have knocked these two down a couple points, and he would have gained several points from that. So that's kind of a disappointment for him. Maybe it wouldn't have quite been enough for him to finish on the podium, because let me see, 9.5 up down. Yeah, so it wouldn't have been quite enough to finish on the podium, but still fantastic showing for his first world level strongman competition. Fourth place is very, very reasonable. Alexey, like we said, he was battling a quad injury, still finished third overall. That's pretty fantastic. And Alexey's one of those ones where, like I said, when he shows up to compete. He shows up to give his all and to do his absolute best. Carry and drag got 8 points. Viking press 11 reps. That's really impressive. I think it has the weights listed down here too. Yeah, so Viking press was 160 kilograms. If you've tried pressing 160 kilograms overhead 11 times, it's very, very difficult. Not a lot of people in the world can do that. So yeah, 11 reps is really good for him. And um, front hold is interesting because he hasn't done very well in some front hold competitions, and in this one he did really well. I mean, he got second place overall. And if you've watched any of Big Laws's stuff on the front hold, especially, a front hold's just one of those things where like some people have it and some people don't. Some people train it a ton and they get worse at it. Sometimes you have random gym bros who are just really good at it. So front hold's just one of those ones where it's more of a mindset thing, I think, than an actual strength, because it's 30 kilograms, so 60, what is that, 66 pounds, something like that. Not a massive amount of weight as far as strongmen are concerned, but you're sitting there holding it out in front of you. 43 seconds is a pretty long time to be holding 60 some pounds out in front of you like that. And then finished third in the stones. And this was where it was interesting, because going into the stones, he was in second place and he was barely, I think he was 1 point or a half point behind Evan Singleton, something like that. And so him placing lower on the stones really hurt him, because Evan was able to place ahead of him and solidify his finish. And then Adam Bishop, I was really happy for Adam. Adam, some contests he does really well. Like, everyone considers him a middle of the pack athlete. Nobody really considers him much of a outstanding athlete. He is really good at some stuff and he's not so good at other things. And he's one of those athletes where he finishes fairly consistently middle of the pack. And I was really happy that he was able to pull off a podium finish with this. As you can see, he got some great points with it. He got second in the carry and drag, tied for second with the Viking press, fourth in the front hold, and then he actually won the Atlas Stones, which I was not expecting him to do. Bish is one of those guys where stones in particular, well, if you go back and look at some of his history, so let's go back and look at some of his previous competitions. So he won the stones, so it was the 100 to 180 kilogram. With the previous Giants Live Strongman Classic, which just happened last month, about a month ago, he got 4th out of 11. There were a couple others. Yeah, so 7th out of 10 with the heavier stones. Yeah, 5 out of 15. Where was it? Here we go. 7 out of 10. So he's one of those guys where, like, you don't really consider him a stone lifter necessarily. But yeah, he was able to pull off a win with that, and with a pretty decent time. 18 seconds for all 5 stones. That's pretty good. Pavlo came in with a close second with that. 19, basically 1 second slower. And then Evan. And Evan, he's a former wrestler and everything. I definitely think he has more of that mindset where he just digs in and works hard, plays to win. Last couple World Strongest Man competitions, he's been injured. He's had other stuff going on. He had the flu or something like that previously. So I feel like we haven't seen the best of Evan Singleton yet. And I think when he shows up healthy, I mean, I've been saying this for a while now, and I think when Evan shows up healthy, he is a contender. He's a top contender. He shows up, he works incredibly hard, and he really gives it his all. Max deadlift, fantastic performance with that. Carry and drag, first place. Viking press, first place. Front hold, third place, and then stones, third place. And with all these, I mean, 12 reps in the Viking press, like, he's an absolute beast. Okay, Evan is he's a monster. When he shows up healthy, like I said, he shows up to win. So yeah, it just a very quick recap on everything. Comment down below. Let me know what you think, what you thought of the competition. If you were able to watch it, if you were unable to watch it, let me know if you think that these standings demonstrate accurately where people should place. If there were a lot of people that were saying this should be an easy win for Alexey, granted, he was injured. Injuries happen. You got to fight through them. If you watch our last live stream, if you go to my channel and look up the live stream with Travis Wortmeyer and Jonathan Cotton, Travis talks about it. Travis is definitely one of the ones who has been injured. He's had every hurdle in his way as a reason not to compete, and he just, I don't know. Travis is a perfect example of the type of person where, you know, you're a professional athlete. When you show up to compete, you show up to compete, and that is what you're doing. And especially when you're on the world stage, there's people watching, there's people recording your results for everything. Yeah, you gotta put out. So yeah, so let me know what you thought of the competition. Who you think is going to break the world record with the deadlift soon? In my opinion, I think out of everybody, Asko Kuru is still my number one guy. I think if Asko is healthy, he's going to be the guy to win it. Pavlo is really close. I think in another year or two, he'll definitely be there. And Ivan Makarov, obviously, he's been ready for a while. So anyways, that is all for today. Just a quick recap on everything that was going on. Let me know. Please, if you are watching this video, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment down below. And once again, this is Isaac with Hair Smash Fitness. And just remember to always improve that 1%.